We're up. We're there.
Okay, welcome to the build and release meeting on November 28th, 2024. Most of us uh, are not new, I guess is the right word. So we'll, I guess, jump straight into the agenda. Just give me a second to bring it up. Okay, and please make sure you put your names in the attendee list. Shlok won't be joining us today. So Charens, you're up first, and we can start with any updates you have for the end-to-end tests, especially on the PRs or the issues that you're working on. And then we'll look into the rest of it. Thanks.
Sure, I will share my screen. No. So currently I'm working with the end-to-end test case, especially like testing like all the relationship we have in the integration with it. So basically like I'm able to parse like around I think 100 of them. Not all because like I need to skip several of things, and also like I need to add like some cover that also like for example we have like relationship, I have like component model, and also like I'm start noticing when test like for example like I'm checking for the Argo CD one, and then like in the spreadsheet it called like Argo CD operator, but for some reason when it Argo on UI it's just like Argo CD one. So I wonder like we are dropping some keyword there in the backend or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah, did you say a little bit more if you would? What do you think is unique to it's specifically the Argo CD model and the app project component? Is that right?
For example, like in the spreadsheet, the model name is like Argo CD operator, but after I check the test, it's just like Argo CD there. But I will take a look.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. So
Like
just
some key like being dropped in the middle of
Yeah, it's
like no.
dropping some of the words you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you able to find out what the issue is?
Uh, I still looking on this one. So yeah, I still like focusing like at more like cases for example on here. So this is like the quick look for the relationship test case I made. Any question regarding of this one?
I just have one if I could. In the video that you're showing, I remember you asking a question recently about missing like an empty component list, and of the video that's being played that you're sharing, that spinner, Sangram might have just said it and I might have just missed it, but is it the case that there are no components available, or is it just specifically this particular app project component?
Just like a one like single table in spreadsheet, not all of them.
Okay. And at the moment, yeah. I think I'm making us repeat the same conversation. I'm sorry. Sangram just said, did you figure it out? And you said something that I couldn't quite understand, I don't think, but probably no is the answer. And there's nothing unique here that we're tracking about the app project component or just the Argo CD model itself? Mm. And so is this,
Yeah, I tried to combine like the project name and the model, the component name and the model, so I get like unique thing.
I see. Is this test flaky in general?
Um,
Or is,
I still like testing like one of them, but is this the same test case like we're using in the Meshery extension, which
mm,
have been running like very constant for a while now, like around 2 weeks, I think.
mhm. We've had a lot of infrastructure change in the last 2 weeks, so I don't know that. Uh, and then just to clarify, this is under the remote provider, this particular test.
Yep, in another remote provider. So we're using
Okay.
like a Meshery.
So just for Ian and for everybody else here, just for our own understanding, that like when a particular component is searched for, um, or prior to that search, at the time of Meshery server's boot, like as a one-time initialization, um, the Meshery's that Meshery server instance, the one that you just started, it has an internal SQLite database that contains a registry, the registry of models that are to be used. They can be enabled or ignored. And by default, they're all enabled. And by default, we only package or bundle in the latest version of each model, even though as a project, there might be multiple versions of the Argo CD model that are available in Meshery's repo, but only the latest is shipped. And so there's a sequence by which if you've started a Meshery server before, you might see notifications in the UI after a few minutes saying that Meshery has either has registered all of the components from a recently connected Kubernetes cluster. And if you've ever watched so there's two moments in time in which models and their components are registered. So I'm just bringing it up as a point of review for the behavior kind of behind the scenes for like, where this component has gone, if in fact it isn't registered. So that's probably one of the Jaren's. I don't know if there's a remediation here, if there's like something that could be checked. Is I guess the question is like, is it this UI that's having a problem and this particular way the UI is working, or is that model and consequently that particular component app project just not even registered? And so Yash can tell us that the same API, yeah, that the registry interface is, I don't know, it would be a point of interest. Like, I don't know if when we're running these end-to-end tests, if one of them has a failure, I don't know if there's a common approach to collecting some additional diagnostics, to verify the state of the environment. If there is, like, we could visit the registry and look up, confirm that that model and that component are registered and they're both, or that model is enabled or not set to ignored. So,
So, Jaren's,
Mhm.
a quick clarification question, and sorry if you've already addressed this. So, what you're saying is when you drag a component to canvas, its name is shortened. Is that what you were referring to earlier?
Can you say it? The last word?
So you mentioned about certain words getting cut off, right?
Yeah.
Like instead of Argo CD operator, it says Argo CD1.
It's usually like, yeah, the model name like get dropped instead of like Argo CD operator is just calling Argo CD.
So that happens when you drop the when you do something on the canvas, or that's in general in the list of operators, the name is getting shortened.
The model name I'm using is from the integration spreadsheet.
Okay.
Is it?
So in the backend, apparently, Lee, there is a spreadsheet that we are using which has the list of names. Again, I'm a bit new to all of this, and even though the spreadsheet has the complete name, it's appearing shortened. The names are appearing shortened in the actual use. Is that right, Terence?
Yep.
Yeah, there's one, but sort of, well, related to this very portion of the conversation is Yash, one of the Yashes, or maybe both of them. This is something that you guys might be able to handle. I was trying to think of a different way of this. You might be able to relatively comfortably handle. There's a behavior here that Jarens is having to work around. And I think a couple of years ago, this particular behavior that I'm about to describe made some sense, and it was a feature. And anymore, I'm not sure that it's worth keeping the feature, and I'm also not sure that the feature itself isn't somewhat detrimental. So, and it has to do with the way that a component name is presented. So app project, that's a portmanteau. Even for us native English speakers, I don't think that portmanteau is a word that rolls off the tongue or comes to mind readily, but that's the type of word where it's a combination of two nouns, and so app and project, two separate words normally. If you're trying to be proper, grammatically correct, you'd have white space between the two. And since it's a name, a pronoun, you'd capitalize the A and you capitalize the P. And anyway, enough of the English lesson. As a user, as an engineer who comes through and uses this tool, you are using the tool in context of Kubernetes, and and in context of all kinds of other uh, engineering tools. When you look at, and so you are quite accustomed to portmanteaus. You're quite accustomed to app project being one word. As a matter of fact, when you see it, if you're familiar with Argo CD in any way, and you're looking to use an app project, if you see the single word app project, yep, hey, that's an app project. That's what I want to use. That's the Argo CD thing. I'll use that to do whatever it does. What we had done to enhance the experience, we are inserting a white space so to be proper. And I think that at this point, it's doing that, makes writing these tests a little bit harder because when we that's just when we insert a white space, that's just something that we do when we when we display the text to users. When someone persists a change to like an app project to a component, the way that it's written back to database is squished back together. Why? Well, because we're Meshery is not authoritative for the name of an Argo CD app project. Who is? Well, the Argo CD project, that's who's authoritative for what that resource is called. They named it this, and that's what. And so we beautified or prettified its display. And we do this we have a set of rules that will break open a word and insert white space and maybe capitalize the second part of the word or whatever. And A, that just makes the tests harder. And B, if you might have to think about this, but you could certainly any number of you might agree with this statement that if you saw app project as one word, or you saw app space project, if you were forced to place a bet on which of those two things was for sure an Argo CD resource, you'd probably choose the one that's just app project, the one word, because that's so I guess what I'm trying to say in a very long-winded way is we had this feature before where we beautify the resource names. That's causing Jaren's problems, or and it's actually probably hurting the user experience instead of helping it be more grammatically correct or what have you. It's probably hurting it because it might infuse a little bit of doubt on the users and like, wait a second, is that app space project? Is that the app project? Is that actually what I'm looking for? Like I don't think it. Yeah, we're not here to abstract that away. We're here to tell people you want to use Argo, great. This tool will help you, give you the confidence to do so. It'll give you this great experience in which you're able to manage your infrastructure, collaboratively. And it's not intending to abstract away the fact that you're touching Argo CD and application sets and applications and app projects. That's all supposed to be very raw and direct. So there is an open issue as of this week in the Meshery repo that calls for the removal of that beautification and debeautification. That is a function of the mesh model API, the registry. And that function is written in meshkit, I believe. What do you guys think?
Certainly, yeah, I'm not aware of the beautification function inside the mesh kit. I just have a single doubt, like in the playwright, why we are trying to look for the name present on like on the UI. Like in the Cypress, what we actually do, we define the data CY property in the element, and we look for that where we don't need to modify anything. And Cypress doesn't depend on like what you are typing inside the text box. It doesn't depend on that. So like Playwright doesn't like in the element that we are dropping on the canvas can have a property which doesn't have any like beautify name. It just have the name that we are getting from the database, and Playwright should look for that instead of um, the UI that we are getting on that user can easily change. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so maybe Jerens can look into that option and how to kind of use it, right? So yes,
Would
that's a recommendation that you're giving, right, to kind of work around this issue.
Yeah, like this is ideally we should do
Okay,
like yeah.
so maybe you
There will
can
be no yeah.
right.
Mhm.
So if Jerens has some concerns on how to, I guess if he's not aware of it, then maybe he can reach out to you and you can kind of guide him on how that's done in case he's not aware. Or is that something that someone else should take up? I'm not sure. I'm new to this whole thing, so yeah, I mean, so I guess we have kind of a solution to this that we can look at and maybe implement the recommendation that Yash has for this.
Ideally, if I'm thinking right, it should be just setting a property whenever we are dropping the element on the canvas. It should be a single line change, and playwright should look for that property, not what is written like the app space project. It should not look for that. I might be wrong if I'm missing something, but ideally we should do in that way.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, here's the sequence diagram for what I was describing, the prettification of text. Outside of this particular discussion, there is an open issue to stop doing this. Because it is on occasion that things are not depretified properly. If that happens, then data is messed up so there's a couple of sequence diagrams actually. This makes it sound, I think, a lot more complex than it is. And actually because of this, like, it's not worth it. The complexities that have to occur. So Josh, I'm still, irrespective of whatever Janice does moving forward, do you understand this? Do you think that this is something you can do?
Not sure about right now. I'm sorry for that, but like I may not be able to commit for that right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we need somebody else. Here's the issue. I'll enhance it to have a link to the. And for the other Sharma, this is not up your alley, I don't think. Not something that you're ready for. Any other gophers here? We need more gophers.
I guess
Okay.
not, but maybe in the next development meeting we can ask for help on this. Maybe put it up for anyone who wants to take it up. I guess we can also post it on the Slack. Jens, do you have any more updates other than that?
I will explain a bit about the testing like for non-provider and Meshery. So basically like in the Meshery now we have like coverage for non-provider and test case for the Meshery provider as well. So basically how it works is we are using like flagrant feature for parameter test and also authentication. So basically we store both session when user like clicking the non-provider and clicking the local provider, and we run like the same test against both of them. So it's using the same test, but you splitting between the project based thing. So yeah, it's using like this type of multiple single troll. So basically you store them in the JSON for the authentication when they are going to local, the message provider and non-provider. And then we using the same test again for both of them. Uh, any question about this one? I think that's it from me today.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I guess we move on to Yash then for the update that he might have on permission keys packaging into Docker container.
Just a second, I was just writing a comment.
Sure. Yeah, whenever you're ready, no issues.
Just a second. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay. So just a second. Okay. So there was an issue coming that whenever we were doing the production deployment of the Meshery, through Helm, we were not able to the server was not able to access the keys path, and during boot time of Meshery, server look for this keys path environment variable and to access the path of the keys CSV to load up all the CSV in the database for the non-provider. And it was fixed for the Helm, but there was issue coming in the container or Docker container too, because in Dockerfile we were not setting this environment variable, which was also causing issue. Then whenever we run the Meshery container, it was not able to access this keys path variable. So I raised a PR and asked for help to make sure that it is well tested. I was trying to test locally, but I was getting these issues again and again in my Docker locally. I'm using right now in the Windows machine, so most probably that's why. But yeah, we merged yesterday, so that was a small update.
Did it work?
That was I haven't tested yet. Did we release it or not? Because I wasn't able to test it yet.
Yeah,
What's
there's no.
the expected result? Like, what should we?
After running the container, you should be able to access the none provider. That's the expected result without any permission issue.
Should we panic like the server when like we can find like the permission key so we
So
can like detect it more early?
sorry, I missed.
Uh, like should we panic the server like when we can find like the permission keys? Yes, we check like if it exists on
No,
this
no, actually, if we will
cloud.
panic, then user will not able to access the remote provider also. So we don't want that, right? So that's why we are not panicking. Instead, we are returning a mesh kit error saying that there is issue with keys. Yeah.
So by the way, this is something that Ian might be a little bit familiar with respect to Castle. Castle, the way that the UI is evaluating whether or not users have permission to see a button or to click a button or to so the Meshery as a project ships with default permission keys, which is what Yash is showing. Those default permission keys are they are to be used with the default identity provider, the local provider. And so, yep, if you sign in with the local provider, then you get these. If you sign in with a different provider, the onus is upon that provider to deliver some keys. Now, Yash, if they don't deliver keys, what happens?
Sorry, I missed. Not deliver keys.
If the remote provider doesn't deliver keys, what happens?
Remote provider doesn't need to deliver the key. That if remote server is not giving the keys, yeah, that will cause the issue.
Not
It
the
will
issue.
not look for the local provider keys.
Okay. And so back to Jaren's point,
Yeah.
like Jaren's was more or less, I think he suggested something specific to panic, but I think more generally, he's suggesting maybe we should handle this error and let the user know what's going on.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mm.
And so we can send an event to the UI, right, saying, hey,
Yeah.
there are no, zero permission keys. And that would be the same irrespective of whether it's the local or remote provider.
Mhm. Mhm.
Something that would be nice to know, be nice if there was
Mhm.
in the settings area,
Mhm.
yeah, if we exposed a list of keys, what keys are.
I will, we can, but then what will be the use of layer 5 cloud keys page if we are
When
exposing?
yeah, it would be probably a read-only, like for the local, if you're using the local provider, then you wouldn't have access to that, and so you wouldn't know what keys are loaded. But you could look it up in documentation maybe to see what you're supposed to be able to do. Generally, or basically, if you are just using the local provider, you're entitled to all permissions that are within the system. So basically, that should represent, or the keys that we put in here should be complete in terms of Meshery server's native capability. It's good to be able to verify that those are available, or if someone was trying to work on Meshery to extend it, that they can see what if we just expose the read-only list of what those are for the remote provider, it's just a point of verification. Yeah, they would still need to go to layer 5 cloud to like create new keychains or to reassign keys to different roles and stuff. we don't have to do that. But when a user came through a couple of weeks ago and said, that's weird, I can't do anything in this UI. It's like, well, there's no recourse. There's A, no recourse, and B, no way of saying, well, hey, can you go check this? Or, we have to tell them to open up the console, look for, there's no.
Mhm. Okay, so I will start with creating an event and making sure we do have a mesh header. We just need to make sure we are generating the event, and I will create the issue for having a tab maybe inside the settings to show the read-only keys. Yeah. So okay. Yeah, that's the update.
Good. And you got to go test it. You got to go make sure that it's working.
Yeah.
Good. What else are we doing next with the local provider, Yash? This is your component. So are we testing it or?
We will, yeah, I and Jaren haven't still didn't discuss on the E2E test. We didn't find a time today. So I will be proposing time for tomorrow's and we'll try to
When?
report.
Okay.
Tomorrow evening
Cool.
IST.
What time?
Most probably tomorrow evening IST, I will send an email.
Okay. All right. I thought you were gonna do that yesterday. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm just gonna keep hounding you until you either that or stick my foot somewhere and then we'll see. Good. 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 It's a big deal, right? Like the Meshery is totally broken. The UI was totally broken, but good, cool. What else? What are the other tests though that we're running? Like this is a good working meeting to figure out, do we have the right coverage? What do the tests look like? Where are they listed? There's a collection of people, Sudhanshu and Jaren's, who are trying to get some of those test case results published to the docs. Sudhanshu, update status. What are we doing?
For the publishing, right, in docs.
No,
Oh,
for the pecan pie that I'm eating later. Yes, for that. Yeah.
yeah. So like I'm waiting for Jaren to like publish the data in Meshery like docs. So whenever he like the test results coming, he will publish there. So from there, I'll take it over. Like when I have the data through the directory.
Where is he supposed to put it?
And under Meshery docs data underscore data, there's a directory. So there is already like logic out there. We have relationship data from where we are retrieving and showing in Meshery docs. So similarly, we'll use that in tabular format to show the results and like
Okay.
whatsoever the result is coming from the
The,
relationship test.
yep. There's no, yep, the fields that are there for the integration tests, like that data format
Yeah, yeah.
probably doesn't work for this. Did you verify?
Like it's also like having like fields. Yeah, fields would be different, but yeah, some restructure we have to do. But like yeah, the structure is same. Like there is already a JSON data coming out, like kind of relationship data dot JSON. So Jaren was also saying that we will be sending out a JSON format data. So
Yeah,
kind of
great.
that we
So
had.
good. And then where's the meat of what you guys have worked on? So what's the format? If you don't have one, get one. Sounds like you
Yeah,
don't have one.
yeah,
How many are you going to be displaying it on a per PR basis?
yeah. It's per VR basis.
No, don't do that. What are you going to do? We're going to go to a page that lists out all the PRs for the project and you're going to see the test results.
I think Jaren can be like best position to answer that. We were
No,
discussing like
yeah, but you're working on the presentation of it, right? Or I guess the reason I'm hounding you guys because I don't know how long we've been talking about it. So have you guys worked on? You guys met, and what was the outcome of the meeting?
yeah, like Jaren was like mentioning that like there will it's the data he will send it will be like overriding every time like a PR will be there if I'm right, Jaren. So that will be like overriding the result. Either it could be after release also. It could be good done like after a release, the results, probably the end-to-end results come.
So basically, like we're discussing to agree like using JSON type format because the data for them will be a lot. So I will sending them and make the data in
Great.
the Messery
Yes.
docs, and they will consume it.
Yeah, good. Great. I mean, yeah. Were you guys going to send it in any other format? Okay. I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't talk about it anymore because it sounds like you guys are not going to do it. What are you going to do?
Yeah,
I've
we will do
explained it a
that. Yeah,
bunch of
like
times.
we do not have the format right now. So
Yeah, but that's not the only thing. Like you don't even know what you're going to do. You're going to display it every PR. You're not going to do like show it, do it for the edge channel and the stable for the two release channels, edge and stable. You're right that thank goodness there's existing reports for you to follow. Are you going to be storing it? How detailed is it going to be? Are you going to be storing it like the integration tests, or are you going to be, what would the summary look like on the compatibility matrix? Does it make sense to put those results into something called the compatibility matrix? Will the test results include the results of relationship tests? And if you're splitting it, if there's a matrix for remote and local provider, Yash, are those tests, does it make sense to show those side by side, or will those be grossly different? Oh, Yash isn't with us. So Jaren's, Sudhanshu, you guys want to answer that question?
yeah, for relationship, yes, there will be. So I think he has not completed the relationship test, but yeah, but the structure, like yeah, I'm not confident how should it be right now. So like how detailed the results will be.
Jaren's?
So like for now, like we discussing like to focus on relationship only. So it will like, I think they are the same data but relationship. You can like use them as reference there and just consider like one column like if test file or not. Just like the same data, but just consider adding like if the test file or not. I think that's it. I will share the data in chat.
Cool, great. I couldn't understand what you'd said, but are we on the same topic? Or are we going on to a new one? Or?
Well, I guess what I understand is that there will be some relatively better updates on this. Okay, I guess we move on in the interest of time to the next one. So you had something on that, you're next.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, great. Okay. Hey, so we've talked about Bash automated testing system, I think, a number of times. We just talked about it yesterday in the dev meeting. And so, in order to start in an earnest way with integration or end-to-end testing focused on Meshery CLI, we would want to grab a framework. And we're looking for someone to champion that. And so if you're interested, pipe up, or if you want more context, yesterday's live stream from the Meshery dev meeting is a good one to review.
Okay. At least I will take a look at yesterday's dev meeting and try to see if that's something up my alley. So by bash, I assume you are referring to Linux bash, unless it's something else in this context. And if the context is different, I won't take the time here. I will go to the video. But
Okay, very good. Yeah, it is bash, bash automated testing system. And we had some prior use of it in the Meshery Linkerd adapter. I don't know if the tests that were used are still here, but I'll put a link to the repo as a reminder that there might be some, wait, I'm sorry. It was the console adapter. Tests, there we go. Okay, here we go. So one of the former maintainers, Michael, had focus here. So I'll drop this link over here.
definitely doesn't look like what I was assuming, but I'll still take a look.
Oh, okay. Okay. Nice. Hey, one other thing is just so Shlok isn't here, and so maybe we won't be able to cover his next item. Something that it would be good for us to have as a backdrop to our discussions is was this guy. And by the way, this particular this Meshery test plan, by the way, itemizes any number of tests that are Meshery CLI centric, and that would be good that they're good candidates for good first candidates for the BATS based tests. I'm saying the BATS based tests as if that was a done decision. I don't know if BATS is the primo is the best framework to go use. I know that we've used it before, and there's some prior art, but if there was something much more clever, anyone here should feel free to suggest something else. But so anyway, this particular sheet is a great standing agenda item anyway, just as we go to get ready to release the .8. So cool. Back to you, Sanger.
Okay. So I guess that's all we had. If there's anything else from anyone, please let me know. I'll wait maybe a few seconds for that. If not, I'll end with an update from my side. So I'll wait maybe 5-10 seconds in case anyone has anything else to share ad hoc in terms of updates related to build and release. All right, so these updates are more deployment centric, more related to the infrastructure that's running Meshery, AFF Cloud, and database, Canvas, and all of that. So in case some of you have not been able to catch up, we have moved to a metal or on-prem based installation from AWS. We had some challenges and we had to redo the database and the deployment a couple of times. We have backups in place. Additionally, I found that we have spare disks in the metal. I've gone ahead and prepared one of the physical disks as a separate partition, completely standalone, not linked to the other ones. And I modified the config and the script to kind of save the backups in the new destination starting today. And on one successful backup saved, we'll go ahead and kind of update the PR and add those scripts to the repo. I am very close to having Prometheus and Grafana ready on production. Not with all the metrics and everything. That's going to take time and it's a continuous stuff. But at least the initial deployment is pretty much ready. And we should have the dashboards and everything. I'm trying to figure out if we can have some sort of a standard metrics and a dashboard that says, let's say, layer 5 cloud that shows only the pods related to layer 5 cloud database and all of that. So I have some of those basic dashboards in place because as we grow with the number of users, it'll be good to know the utilization in terms of disk or CPU, memory, and all of that. And obviously, additionally, have that integrated into Meshery so that we can. There are a few things that we had some issues last time with the Grafana dashboard not appearing well inside the Meshery console. It was looking for some codes and all of that. I'm not sure how many of you remember, but we had some issues linking Meshery to the Prometheus deployments, right? So once we have Prometheus and Grafana up and running, I guess we can revisit that, and hopefully, given everything is in the same server, it probably is much more easier to get that integration done. So that's where we stand in terms of the in terms of deployment and infrastructure and all of that. We're hoping to add a backup tool in the future. That's what we discussed last. I still haven't had time to look at a few options, but for now, like I said, we will run the scripts and have something in place before we have a proper backup solution that also takes care of the pods and everything apart from just the database. Just for everybody's knowledge, we are using Ingress for our load balancing and all of that. We are looking at an option to move to emissary-based Ingress, but we have some rate limiting related challenges there. In case any of these affects you, just for your information, we are still using Ingress, which we were using Ingress in AWS as well. So hopefully that should not, but okay, yeah, that's all there is. But yeah, I mean, we have moved to Metal, so the performance should be much better than what it was on AWS. Okay, that's all I have.
Yeah.
Any more questions? We can take it up. We have a few more minutes before the scheduled end of time.
Sangram, that's fantastic about that update. Real quickly, just earlier today, I ended up relocating the last 2 daily backups to the new location that's specified in the PG backup config.
Config,
So-
yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
And
I have used a recommended naming convention, and we are so again, for the benefit of others, we are trying to make sure we make it very clear what the environment a certain deployment belongs to. So you will see prod, staging, dev, that kind of keywords quite a lot. So please pay attention when you run some commands or you try to do something. If it says prod, that means you'll have to pay real attention to what you're doing there. So similarly for backups as well, you'll find prod, dev, staging, and all of that. The staging is not running on Metal 3, but just FYI, if it says prod, that means, just pay additional attention to it. Hopefully that helps, especially when we're doing a lot of these. In a DevOps culture, everything is very aggressive in terms of releases and all of that. And, it happens, we might accidentally end up doing things that we don't intend to. And these tags are basically to let us know that we are making changes to what kind of environment. Okay, that's all. Anything else you want to add, Lee?
No, other than no, not this time. Not this time.
Yeah, you can relax a bit today. Spend your Thanksgiving with pecan pie.
I've got a small fork, spoon shaped shovel, just ready to shovel it in.
All right, happy Thanksgiving, and thanks everyone for joining in. In case you are in the US, happy Thanksgiving to all of you.
Thanks a bunch. Thanks for hosting, Sangram. This is great.
You're welcome, no worries.
Right.
I'll try my best to do this as long as I can. But yeah, I mean, if anyone can be more committed to this, I'll be glad to hand it over. It's just that here in India, it's kind of 8:30 when this starts and becomes a bit tricky. Yeah, it's fortnight. It's okay. I mean, every 2 weeks, somewhat manageable. But like I said, there might be some weeks where it might be a bit difficult for me. But I'll let you all know in advance if I'm not able to host it.
Oh,
Okay.
all right. See you in a couple of weeks, I suppose.
Yeah, or in Slack. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
У меня получилось очень